Greetings, dear listener. This is Hope the Builder, also known as DJ Africa, also known as Espalmeni Rombona. That's my birth certificate name. No shame in my game, I got nothing to hide here. Based on Anishinaabe territory, Ottawa, Canada. And yeah, just keeping it real every day. Enjoying this beautiful Saturday on Anishinaabe territory, unceded, unsurrendered. Cleaning around the house, paying attention to the news, what's going on. And as always, so much news. Oh my god. Even for someone who consumes a copious amount of media like I do. This is ridiculous. There's so much going on in the world. But it's great. There's a lot of change, a lot of positive change, a lot of challenges. Right now I want to talk about what's happening in Syria. This beautiful country that has been devastated by war, devastated by shenanigans for a while. State-sponsored terrorism. It's a real shame, and more recently, you've got different countries in there, Turkey, US, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Russia, United States, Israel, probably forgot a country, but so many different countries, regional powers, global powers have been weighing in, supporting different factions. Now, you might not like Bashar al-Assad, but he's recognized as the legitimate president of Syria because he won the last election, which according to many observers was free and fair. Probably not perfect, but I've yet to see an election that's perfect. I think in North America we need to be humble about our elections since recent revelations. But anyways, Assad is the president right now of Syria. The US doesn't like him, has been wanting to remove him, but he's there right now and he does have a lot of support among a lot of Syrians. He also has a lot of disapproval among a lot of Syrians, so it's kind of a 50-50 situation. A lot of the opposition is legitimate grievances against the government that has abused human rights in the past, currently still doing so in many cases. But it's a difficult situation, and from the government's perspective, what's going on is a counterterrorism campaign, obviously wanting to defeat Daesh and other terrorist groups like Al-Nusra, and some of the armed rebel groups, unfortunately, have been supported by the West, financed, armed by countries like Saudi Arabia, the US, Israel, Turkey. Turkey recently has just invaded Syria because of the Kurds, one of the Kurdish groups in Syria that Turkey has beef with. So it's a very complicated situation. Russia obviously in there, Iran in there in some ways, Hezbollah. But these three groups have been invited by the Syrian government, so they're seen as a little more legitimate in the situation, but it's a very complicated situation, and the solution is clear. People have to talk to each other. I mean, that's what the UN is for. That's what the Geneva talks are for. The talks in Syria, in Russia as well. Any talks, fuck. I mean, just get together, do some. You know, we need an immediate ceasefire. We need some de-escalation. We need some conflict resolution. That's why, whenever I hear of students studying conflict resolution, I'm always like, you know what? That's a seriously underrated program right now of study. I wish so many more people would go into conflict resolution. And the unfortunate part is that, there's not as much money into it. Right? There's more money if you go into working for the war industry, the military-industrial complex. Less money for peace. But that has to change, and is changing, as definitely the UN is focusing more on peace and development. That's the other side of things that we really need to focus on is development, developing the Middle East, especially Syria. I'm grateful for, the Chinese and other different countries taking initiatives to promote development in the area. Here in Canada, we can play a constructive role, but more recently, we haven't really been. Our government of Harper, government of Trudeau, has been, supporting armed rebel groups, more so the Conservatives, more so Harper, but Trudeau too. He at the start of his term, he was also still bombing Syria. I think they're still in the U.S.-led coalition in some ways. I don't know what the extent of that participation is, but Canada definitely has played, in my view, a less than honorable role in Syria, and should correct this by at least working through the UN, working through non-violent means to promote peace and development there. And, according to some sources like Cobra, a source code named Cobra of the resistance movement, Syria also has some important goddess vortex, which is kind of like an energy current or energy hotspot, a place with a lot of goddess energy. Goddess meaning, loving, compassionate energy, healing energy, which is referred to in some circles as goddess, the goddess energies. So apparently Syria has a lot of goddess energies. Definitely Syria historically has had a very sacred and important role in global affairs, and I'm really into energies, and I definitely feel like, well, consciousness is primary, so yeah, 100%, it's an energetic thing, right? So there's a lot of loving energies in Syria, and war and the forces of destruction and the Luciferian forces, they want to suppress that because the goddess energies is the most potent weapon against the forces of destruction and death and AI and all that nonsense. So the alliance of different positive groups is working together to protect and restore those goddess energies, to encourage those goddess energies to blossom in Syria and beyond. And so let's continue our hard work to promote peace and development in Syria. We also need to do the same for Yemen and other conflict zones right now. Iraq is still recovering. Afghanistan, there's still a lot of destruction going on there. So we gotta work together, constructively for peace and development in the region, putting some money where our mouth is, and working through the UN to promote sustainable development in the Middle East, for a united Middle East, a peaceful Middle East, for Eurasian integration and world peace. DJ Africa, reppin' serious all day, every day. Peace.